Today we're going to be reading Welcome to a New Museum, the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. This is a nonfiction text, so when you're reading, make sure that you read all the captions above the pictures. Any list or any more captions, if you see a diagram, make sure that you read all the text. Welcome to a new museum. A visit to a special place. When Katrina and Frederick Jones go to the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, they can see themselves. The Detroit, Michigan Museum is all about Black Americans. It is the biggest African American history museum anywhere. And Katrina and Frederick, who are brother and sister, are in a museum show. Molds of the two kids were used to make statues. The statues show Africans on a model of a slave boat. These statues show what life was like for Africans on a slave boat. Frederick and Katrina Jones were models for the statues. It took a long time for artists to make the molds. First, they coated the children's bodies with oil. Then the artists covered them with paper. The paper was wet and sticky. Soon it dried and got hard. I couldn't move for over an hour, and I couldn't talk. Moving or talking would have cracked the mold, Katrina said. The top 5. Girls and boys love to see these things at the museum. Number 1, a room where you can hear African American music. Number 2, the first traffic light. Number 3, Mae Jemison's spacesuit. Number 4, the model of a slave boat. And number 5, the floor of the big room you first walk into. You can hear the music of famous singing groups. Mae Jemison's spacesuit is at the museum. She was the first African American woman in space. Seeing myself is kind of fun, says Frederick. When Frederick grows up, he wants to show his children the boat. Then he can say, "That's me." When people visit the museum, they see flags flying. Each stands for a place where Africans were once taken to be slaves. Inside, people see the names of 60 great Africans and African Americans. People can also see things that were thought up by African Americans. A golf tee and the first design for a dime are two of the things you can see at the museum. It's a place with many surprises. People can see the history of the civil rights movement in the U.S. The museum is in Detroit, Michigan. Up here it says Michigan and then points to the city Detroit.